Yeah, shalom, shalom. First, I want to start off by giving all honor, praises, and infinite glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash, which is the true name of the Heavenly Father, and His only begotten Son, whom the world ignorantly calls God and Jesus Christ. All right, double honors unto the elders, apostles, and bishops of GMS Great Millstone who rule well, teach, and edify. And peace and blessings to sincere Akyam, wa Akwad in his household of faith. My name is Yeshaya from the GMS Arizona Church on Ottawa, Ratazah. Gonna make an edifying video. Lord willing, put the title is going along the lines of don't look for oil in a liquor store. Okay, don't look for oil in a liquor store. Because I was actually having a conversation with my woman. And one thing about a woman that they do is they make assumptions. They make a lot of assumptions and they let their emotions run rampant, right? And when instead of getting that real understanding about a thing, they have to, they seek deep in their mind to try to find some fucking false answer. All right, and that's the thing, bro, and it's truth. All right, we don't deal with that. All right, we investigate things thoroughly, so when it comes to yourself, all right, when it comes to the doctrine, when it comes with how you're supposed to carry yourself, we ultimately get this, information from the scriptures, man, and from the prophets whom the Lord has set up, which is our elders and their elders, the elders and apostles and their elders, to understand how we're supposed to act, because pursuant to Jeremiah 17:4, we've been ripped away from our heritage. We don't know who we are. We don't know our customs. But now we're coming back to that. But even then, we've been so long corrupt in this world, we have to make sure that we're staying in the oil. Because the scriptures talk about, I, the Lord, has deceived that prophet. The heart is deceitful above all things. Lord, when we get into that. And, vain imaginations. That's the thing. You can't rely totally on the way you feel about a thing if you lack discretion, if you lack understanding. And that's why it's important for younger bros and bros coming up to really stick to the basics, man. Keep it simple and stick to the scriptures. Whenever it comes to how you walk in this life, man. You can't look for oil in a liquor store. You can't look for deep wisdom in a place of intoxication. You can't look for a place of deep wisdom and understanding about how you're supposed to live your life and how you're supposed to serve the Lord and how you're supposed to be walking and how your steps are supposed to be structured in the midst of a perverse and intoxicating environment. And what's more, intoxicating, what's more, deceitful than your mind, bro? And that's the thing. Your mind, pursuant to James 1, and we'll get verse 12, says, "Blessed is a man that endureth temptations, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. For Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempted he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. When lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin. And when sin is finished, it bringeth forth death. Do not err, my beloved brethren." So when lust is conceived, it bringeth forth sin. When every man is tempted, he is drawn away by his own lust. That transgression of the law, the missteps, it all starts in your mind, bro. It starts in the lust of the flesh. The scriptures even talk about, the three things, the lust of the flesh, the pride of man, and the lust of this life. Let me get that real quick. Salakia, bear with me for 1 second. It says 1 John 2 and verse 15. It says, "Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, and all these things are conceived from your mind." You know, all these things, the lust of the flesh, bro. You know, you being unthinking. You know, we cannot be like that. We seek counsel. We seek to do things the appropriate way. This is Jude 1 and verse 7. Verse 6. It says, and the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness, unto the judgment of the great day. And this is what the bodies that we're living in. The Apostle Paul spoke of these chains of darkness as well. That chain us here in death, man, in darkness. You jump down to the 10th verse. It says, but verse 10 in the NLT, it says, but those people scoff at things they do not understand. Like unthinking animals, they do whatsoever, they do whatever their instincts tell them. So they bring about their own destruction. We cannot put on that type of spirit of they do whatever their instincts tell them to do. We have to really use discretion and use wisdom, man. We have to use that oil. Okay, but you can't go looking for oil in a liquor store, man. You can't try to be wise in your own conceits. You can't be self-righteous in a way like, oh, well, clearly, you know, because you know how bros anoint themselves. You can't anoint yourself with a bottle of Tito's. You know what I'm saying? I hope you're getting the analogy I'm putting down. It's like you have to anoint yourself in the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. You can't anoint yourself in the spirit of the world. Otherwise, you're gonna fucking reap the world, man. You sow to the flesh, you reap corruption. You sow to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, you'll find everlasting life. And that's the thing, bro. Going in back to this, it says, it is not of the Father, but it is of the world. So you cannot you can't justify the things that you do just because it's coming from a place that accepts it, if that makes sense. So going back to Proverbs, let's go to Proverbs 3. And we'll start at verse 5. It says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not on thine own understanding. Where are we supposed to lean on? The understanding of Yahweh Shem Yahushai that's found in these scriptures, and by way of the prophets and the men that he set up as teachers to guide us through this life, so we know how to direct our steps through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. But there's going to be certain times, man, when a man is enticed by his flesh, that he's going to start trying to justify the things that he does because it just feels right. It's instinctual. We have to build a righteous instinct. And that's what we're doing now. So long that bro's been in the world, you've developed an unrighteous instinct, you know, to be undisciplined, to be, you know, unaccountable, to be wicked. We're trying to go and oppose those things. So just for an example, like say you have a certain thing, like you're feeling really bad about your eating situation. Let's just say that. And, you know, you're like, well, you know, you read Ezekiel 3:8, you know, we shall eat our bread defiled among the Gentiles. Then you use that as a means to justify why you can eat McDonald's. You know, like you're trying to essentially justify the scriptures to do shit that you shouldn't be doing. Or say looking for oil in a liquor store. Say instead of listening to the elders and apostles and listening to wise counsel, because the scriptures say do not anything without counsel. So instead of getting counsel about a certain decision that you make, you instead consult with worldly people or with your own mind, and then you act on what the world tells you to do. Because the answer that brothers are going to give you versus the answer that people in the world are going to give you is the difference between life and death. Truly. If you were to ask somebody in the world to be like, should I be reading the Bible for, 2-3 hours a day and devoting my life to not eating these things and not doing these things and praying to the Lord 3 times a day and more and just making sure I always do. People in the world going to be like, you could take it easy. But brothers going to be like, shit, keep on going. If not, try to do more. And that's the thing, bro. That's the brothers are going to give you that oil. The scriptures, Yahweh Shem Yahushai's men are going to give you that oil. In the world, man, it's going to give you that fucking liquor, right? You know, and at what stage you anoint yourself with one or the other, man, is going to show directly in your life, man. You anoint yourself with liquor, you're going to be fucking bugged out, man. You anoint yourself with that oil, you're going to be living right. in the eyes of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, acceptable in his eyes, man. It says, lean not on thine own understanding. So what understanding are you supposed to look for? You're supposed to look for the prophets. You're supposed to look for the scriptures, man. You know, and not looking for the fucking understanding of this world. And this really goes out to the, you know, like the younger bros, man. Because I got friends in the world, man. They be trying to tell you, man, this whatever, man. That truth ain't, you know, they did trying to scoff at it, man. You know, my own father, you know, try to, you know, persecute Apostle Zahar in front of me. Like, he was like, oh, this and that, and this and that and this. All right, but ultimately, if you stick to the scriptures and you stick to the prophets, you're gonna be better, man. And that's what I've seen in my own life, my personal testimony. You stick to the right side of things, you're gonna be walking the right path, man. And although that path gonna get hard, that's the Lord chastening you as his son, and that's a beautiful blessing to have, man. All right, but if say I were to listen to those things in the world, man, I'd be desolate, man. I would be totally fucking wigged out. You know, and that's why you don't want to look for oil in the liquor store, man. You look for oil where oil comes from, man. That olive tree. You know, olive tree is like personified to Israel, man. That the Lord has a ultimately certain select members even of that nation of Israel that's gonna have you to be in the right way, man. The Lord has prophets that's gonna give you that oil, man. That's gonna give you that understanding. You know, buy the truth, sell it not. How do you buy the truth, man? With your time. But one thing they say in the world is practice makes perfect. And then somebody will say, no, it doesn't. They say perfect practice makes perfect. All right? You could be putting 100 hours in the wrong doctrine. You still going to be wrong. You put 100 hours in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai and his sound doctrine, which is held by GMS, which is the prophets of the Lord, you're going to be right. And that's, you know, Lord willing, the message I'm trying to portray here, man. Stick to the script. You know, don't be fucking watching all kinds of other camps. Don't be trying to listen to these worldly ass perspectives on people trying to tell you what to do with your life, man. If you're not grounded and rooted, especially if you're not grounded and rooted, because, you know, the elders and apostles, man, you know, they grounded and rooted. So they watch other camps to make sure that they teaching the right thing. And if they don't, they correct it. You know? Things like that. Say somebody talks to you in the world, oh, you're, you know, this and that and that and this. You're able to have discretion to just hear people. But you don't have to you don't get, you know, drawn away by that shit. You know, ultimately, man, discretion is a major thing in his truth, man. But if you're not totally grounded, you know, even I myself, I'm a novice, man. You know, newly sprouted. You know, so I have to be careful about what I listen to and who I listen to. You know what I'm saying? I have to be careful about where I get my information from and what I'm looking at. So I don't fucking, you know, go off the other end, man. So, you know, with all that being said, you know, stick to the scripts, man. Stick to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Okay, stick to the right hand. Okay, because there ain't nothing but ugly shit and death on the other side of the spectrum, man. Let's finish out the scripture. We'll close out. It says, "In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths." The Lord will direct your paths, man. If you have that sincerity to acknowledge the Lord and serve the Lord. And it says, "Be not wise in thine own eyes, fear the Lord and depart from evil." But, hey, man, I pray this lesson was well said and edifying. And the message was clear. Lord willing, I wasn't doing too much. Just, you know, don't be looking for answers in the wrong places, essentially, man. Don't be looking for oil in the liquor store, man. You know, don't be, you know, be you know, careful about what you listen to, who you listen to, you know, and stick to the prophets, man. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, GMS is the true prophets of the Lord. Scriptures talk about Isaiah 30 and 20. You know, this is the way, walk ye in it. You know, it resonates with my spirit that these are the men of the Lord. I have without a doubt that this is the right path. This is the truth. This is 100% truth, man. Without a doubt. But hey, I pray this lesson was edifying. Lastly, all honor, praise, and infinite glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rachach Kodash.